SCP, I mean, shit. PCS-1989, the Hourglass. Securement procedures. In a 9 by 9 by 17.83 meter room, made out of oak and padded with standard feather pillows on the east-facing wall, place a filing cabinet comprised of rusted sheet metal. Put the Hourglass in the second or third drawer from the top, or something, I don't know. Does anyone even read this part when it's not being spoken aloud? Don't break it, because sand is hard to clean up, and something bad will probably happen if you break it anyway. Wear gloves when handling to avoid smudging the glass. Considering there's at least one case of an individual becoming trapped in the anomalous object, assign the death row personnel to handle it in case something weird happens. Were they possibly falsely convicted of their capital crime, something that several of the objects in our possession could prove definitively? Who cares? We need drones, and we'd feel worse about sending in the interns. Description. The object is made of wood and glass, the latter filled with fine grains of sand. The wooden frame containing the central matrix has been stained a dark brown. Several test subjects have reported feeling an abnormal feeling upon interacting with the object, and analysis shows a notably higher presence of cosmic background radiation in the immediate radius of the Hourglass. The object possesses the ability to trap individuals within a pocket dimension, known here as PCS-A, with unknown reasons as to how it makes its selections for such. Those inside, referred to here as PCS-B, are treated to an initially empty void, which is then populated as per the desires of the individual with locations, items, flora, and foodstuffs. PCS-B shows no signs of aging, cannot be injured, or wish for any physical ailments, making them apparently immortal. Notably, the Hourglass cannot create living beings, which has the effect of making PCS-B extremely melodramatic. PCS-B will never shut up about it and complain constantly about being immortal and lonely, despite the fact they haven't even tried to get a perfect score in Pac-Man. See Addendum 1. The item came into the hands of the Bureau after investigating a missing persons case. An accountant in a suburb of Seattle, Washington, later discovered to be trapped inside PCS-A, was declared missing after An accountant in a suburb of Seattle, Washington, later described to be An accountant in suburban Seattle, Washington, later discovered to be trapped inside PCS-A, was declared missing after not appearing at work and not returning texts from coworkers and family. 2 days later, field agents posing as local police recovered the Hourglass, finding it to be suspicious and detecting the energy surge from the exterior of the object. After 3 days of Found Bureau? Oh, I see what I was going for there. After 3 days of Found Bureau containment, an estimated week after the disappearance of the involved individual, they reappeared in the After 3 days of Found Bureau containment, an estimated week after the disappearance of the involved individual, they reappeared in the holding facility, covered in sweat and vomit and noticeably upset by the presence of the Hourglass. They were immediately given extensive psychological evaluation and therapeutic care. Later interviews indicated that PCS-B had spent 110 years within the Hourglass, implying a rough time conversion of 13 years to every 1 day in the real world. Notably, despite their decades of trying, they still couldn't play the drums for shit. It's unknown how the individual left the Hourglass, or if the object even has any particular parameters for exit. It's also unknown how many previous individuals it had trapped within it. Addendum 1. From recorded interview, PCS-1989-14. The Hourglass makes you appreciate time. A second passes, you think nothing of it. A minute, nothing. An hour is something. A week, you question why it went by so fast. A year, you evaluate your life. A decade, you begin to regret. A lifetime, You repress your regrets and bide your time until the cold, spindly hand of death comes and takes you into the abyss. I'm sorry, can you please state your name for the record? But inside of the hourglass, time doesn't exist. Ironic, in a way, I suppose. A device meant to quantify time, not allowing the passage of the very thing it's a representative of. God, if only I had to handle the vampires. Please, just anything but monologues. You can't die in the hourglass. Wish for a gun, aim it at yourself, it'll jam every time. Wish for a knife to stab yourself, the blade will break. Buddy, I wish I'd never reassigned to the archives. End Addendum 1.